Ladies and my gentlemen, welcome to another podcast. And today we have on the lead singer of the IDKS from the UK. His name is Rookers. And personally, I encourage you guys to go look them up. I will link them in the description of this podcast. They're indie Green Day vibes. It is exactly if you're smoking a joint and sitting or walking, doing pretty much whatever. Personally, I like to listen while studying. But folks, I welcome you to this podcast. Rookers, how you feeling today, buddy?
What's happening, Zad? I'm good, mate. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm feeling good. I don't know why the fuck I'm pretending. We just had the audio mess up. We were in a call before. I already asked him how his day is, folks. But
It's okay.
before the audio cut out, I did ask you, and we
Mhm.
were just getting into the question, who did you
Oh, yeah.
listen to while you were growing up? Because I always feel like that's kind of where people get their artistic taste from. Usually, it's from what their intake is younger.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird that you say Green Day because, yeah, I did listen to them growing up. I listened, I guess, when I was a teenager, I'd listen to a lot of pop punk and, but I mean, mainly it would be like UK indie rock. But obviously, there's a ton of American influences there. A massive, huge influence for me is always has and always will be Oasis. I mean, they're absolutely flying at the moment. Back then, when I used to listen to them, they weren't that big. Well, that's a lie. They were massive in the UK, but I don't think they were that well known in America. And then because of like TikTok, YouTube, interviews, stuff like that, they just seem to grow and become massive. And now they're just the biggest band ever. So, yeah, they're a massive influence for me. Just how they were inspired by the Beatles and how they've gone on to inspire other bands and bands like us.
Oh yeah. And it's funny you bring up the Oasis because right before the audio cut out, we were actually talking about like I wanted you to name off who inspired you, and then I would list
Mm,
off my assumptions. I wish
yeah.
you could see my screen. I have Oasis Wonderfall pulled up, the official video, and your guys' song, You're All Right, pulled up because right before I saw what time it was to hop in a call,
Mm.
I was seeing like if you guys had sampled it because the melodies sounded so similar,
Oh,
and
really? Do you think so?
oh my God. I mean, just put them both on. I rewound them both like 3 times each because I was like, did they sample this song?
So,
That,
which two tracks was it? Because this is the thing. I mean,
yeah.
to be fair, it more worries us than anything because of because I don't want to be sued. But wait, what were the two tracks?
It was You're All Right
Right,
and
and
Wonderful. But admittedly, after listening to it, I'm pretty sure the melodies are different. But
okay, fair.
you can easily tell of the
But it's influence.
the
Yeah, I see
yeah,
what you're saying. Yeah,
huge influence.
yeah, fair enough. It's mad that you say that because, yeah, like I said, I always do worry that it's very close. But obviously, because we don't want to do the same thing that other people are doing, because then I guess that's boring. But also, like, we are heavily influenced by all the artists that we do. I remember one time I was sitting there and I wrote a song and I thought, oh my god, this is absolutely amazing. Um, and it turned out to, and I was like, I've recognised this song, and I played it to the guys in practice, and they were like, "That's Blitzkrieg Bop." So I was just like, "Oh, I can't use that." But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I can imagine, some of the tracks, especially because yeah, I did write that one, and some of my other tracks. I do. I mean, this is the first time I think I've ever said this on a podcast. I do purposely leave Easter eggs in in my tracks. Does that
Really?
one have one in it? I'm not sure if that one has in it, but yeah, in a lot of stuff that I write, I always leave little Oasis Easter eggs in there because they're like my favorite band ever.
Yeah.
So in the majority of the songs that we do, there's always little Easter eggs of that link back to them and what they do musically and lyric wise. So people will have to look out for that if they can find it. And yeah,
Now
the hunt is on.
I don't want to spoil any Easter eggs for anybody, but
hmm
are we talking melodies? Are we talking lyrics, names? give me a little hint what to look out for here, just a tad, a little drop in the
It's
ocean.
yeah. It is usually lyrics.
Mm, gotcha.
So it can be like references to things, or I mean, some of them some of them are glaringly obvious, and then some of them are a lot harder to work out. And but yeah, sometimes I guess it could be musically.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think sometimes it is musically. There might be like certain notes or certain things I use, but yeah, I always like in most of the songs that I write. Sometimes it's completely unintentional, but I'm like, oh my god, this is from this. But yeah, there's a lot of I like hiding Easter eggs in my songs. There's Easter eggs from Catfish and the Bottlemen in our songs as well.
really.
And I just think it's fun. I think it's because if people actually work it out, I think once I start seeing that and people coming back to us and going, "Oh, this is from this. Oh, this relates to this," and I don't know, it brings a whole new meaning to the song as well, and it makes it more fun. And you're not just listening to enjoy it as well. You know, you can point these things out and find them for yourself. So
It's
I'm not
like,
going to give any away, but just know they're there.
oh yeah, no, for sure. It's like you're adding lore and layers to music,
Yeah, 100%.
which which
Yeah,
honestly, hats off to you, dude. That's fucking awesome. I
mm,
love that shit. I love when there's, like the band Gorillaz, for example, how in
yeah,
their band tells a story. But I want to go back
yeah,
to what you were saying earlier
yep,
about inspiration and about how you're kind of
mhm,
worried that you might be copying someone. This whole
yeah,
podcast is based on a fear that I'm copying Joe Rogan completely. You know, the goal, this is the thing about art, right?
yeah,
You cannot necessarily control your creative output because it's what you find appealing. You should really
yeah,
be trying
100%.
to focus on, like, not stealing their words, not stealing their direct, but that's
Mm,
why music is awesome is because you can sample it,
yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
definitely.
almost, I feel like that's an impossible task. Like,
Yeah,
I don't want to regurgitate what I listen to,
yeah, I agree.
especially if
Yeah.
you're listening to awesome fucking bands such as Green Day and
Mm,
Oasis. If you're
yeah,
listening to that shit, that's almost impossible. You're gonna sort of replicate it in a way,
yeah,
not
definitely.
necessarily take everything from it, because obviously if you listen to you guys, your voice is you have a raspier voice than the
Mm,
Oasis lead singer. So there's these obvious
mm,
differentiations, but
mm,
at the same time, you can kind of also see the inspiration. I think the main goal in art is to find what you like, draw inspiration from that, and then add
yeah,
your own flavor to it.
100%. Yeah, I was literally going to say the same thing. I feel like you're in the same boat as us, as in we're heavily inspired. And, I feel like we're the same as in like, we love that and we love what they do. We don't want to be them, but we can't help but be influenced by them because
Yep.
that's what we enjoy. So when we do what we enjoy, that comes out in our work because because like I said, because we're so heavily inspired by it. Like you said with Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
obviously you don't want to be Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan is Joe Rogan and he does
Yeah.
it very well. You want
Yes.
to have your own flavor, like you said, and yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think you're absolutely right. But yeah, we can't help that these things come out, and when people do compare us to these artists and say that we do, we have similar things. I mean, that's for me is like the greatest compliment ever because we're being um I forgot the word, compared to our inspirations and for some of the biggest artists in the world. So yeah, no, I
Dude,
agree. I think yeah, I think it's a great thing.
you're welcome for saying that.
Yeah.
But honestly, thank you for just putting that shit out,
Mm,
because I noticed that
thank you.
you guys have, obviously, you just dropped your All Right, your latest
Hmm.
single, and then you
Yep.
have that EP. But I
Yes.
looked at your discography, or whatever, however it's pronounced, and there's a
Hmm.
2 year here. Let me actually pull it up really quick. That it looks
Yeah.
like there's like a 2 year hiatus between the
Mm,
two.
yeah, there is. Yeah.
What happened?
So yeah, it was a few things. So we so we were down to. I mean, we've had constant issues with trying to get a lead guitarist in, and it's been so hard, like on and off. Like I always make the joke, we've had more lead guitarists than Taylor Swift has had boyfriends. You know, it's insane. We've yeah. So I was going through that, and we lost another guitarist. So I was like, right, we're going to start working on an EP. The way we did it, I don't think was the best, but at the time, you know, we're just winging it. We're learning. We're understanding how this stuff works. We released the EP. I think we done for what we had at the time, what we knew, and like what understanding we had. I think we done a pretty good job.
I think it's awesome.
Knowing what we thank you so much. I appreciate that.
No problem.
I think knowing what we know now, it could have definitely been better. And we would have been a lot more ahead. But sometimes you just got to swallow them losses and move on and learn from it. But yeah, so obviously we released the EP, but we wasn't gigging because we didn't have a guitarist. So I mean, I play guitar in the band, but I'm not good enough to play some of them lead lines and stuff like that. I just mainly cover the rhythm. So so then we was looking for a guitarist for ages. Then once we got the guitarist in, we was like gigging for a while and doing all that, and then you know things were getting in the way. You got life and everything else that's going on.
Of course.
And then from there, eventually, we started to work on You're All Right, but then we had to like sort of delay it as well because of constraints and things going on, and you know we didn't know if we was going to get a new guitarist, and then that guitarist, then we ended up getting another guitarist who's with us now, Mitch, who's absolutely smashing it. We're very happy with. He's a good friend of our bassist Jules, and then it just sort of settled in. We got him involved, got him on the track. It was just mainly, I guess it was just the band was so up in the air. We probably wasn't practicing enough. We weren't doing enough. I think that, I mean, that isn't on the band. I feel like that's more on me because obviously I do most of the management and the admin and arrange things. So yeah, it was just a bit up in the air, and I think without a guitarist, it felt like we couldn't gig. It felt like we couldn't do it. So I think that's why we struggled.
What was the problem with, you're saying you went from guitarist to guitarist? I'm assuming you had like some sort of auditions. What was the problem? Were they all just shit, or?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, to be fair, some of them weren't. No, some of them were actually. To be fair, most of the guitarists we've had, like we do auditions, but basically it's mainly like I'll turn up, come to practice, just see how you play. Like we're not massively. How can I explain it? We're not like, we haven't got people queuing up around the corner. We're quite easy to please. Like even the guys that come together, like, who are in the band now, like it's just a lot of fun. It's actually just a coincidence, and maybe I sound egotistical, but it's actually just a coincidence that we come together and we sound this fucking good. When I started the band, it was mainly for fun, and I didn't think that we'd ever be as good as we are. But I mean, we've come together. The music's sounding great. I mean, I believe we're even better live. Like my friends, when they come and see me, like they're actually shocked because they assume what I assumed in the beginning, which was that we'd be shit. But yeah, we just turned out really good. But I don't know. Like it's been a mix of things. Like with guitarists, I mean, there was one guy we had who was amazing, and he moved out and he couldn't turn up. We had another guy. There was like a clash of genres and differences. We had another guy who was really good, but then you know he was, I mean, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but his job was very like his working job, but he was very
it's life
intensive. Yeah, exactly. Like yeah, life was getting in their way, and he couldn't always do that. So yeah, it was. I mean, we've got Mitch now. We're settled with him. We're really happy with him. He's absolutely smashing it. I think he's done a really good job on the solos and the lead lines in the new single. And yeah, he's got some great ideas. So I think.
Sorry. Continue what you're saying. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. Yeah, no, it's just that was the end of it, really. Yeah, it was just a mix of stuff that, like I said, life getting in the way, and yeah, it was a lot.
So I have two questions The first
Yeah, go for
question,
it.
the first one is, when did you know that you wanted to take this from being a hobby to, I'm gonna show up on podcasts. We're gonna find the perfect guitarist. Sure, these people are good, but we
Mm.
want something to where our fucking the hairs on our arms raise up type shit. You know.
Mm.
And my second question is, you smoke pot, buddy? You smoke a little devil's lettuce?
Yeah, I have done in the past. I haven't done a lot recently.
None on you
Have
right
I?
now.
Well, what's that?
None on you right now.
Nah, nothing on me now. No.
Do you vape nicotine?
Yeah. I vape a lot, to be fair.
Do you have your vape on
Especially.
you?
No, I don't. It's somewhere.
Oh, darn. It's a big part of the show where we all take a cheers together. But that's okay. That's okay. We could skip that.
Sorry,
But
mate. No, it's all good.
let's lean back into that other question that we had.
Go.
When was that moment that you knew, okay, this shit could be real?
Yeah. I think I don't know. So when I got the band together, it was like I said, we were originally just going to be a covers band. So me and the drummer Mason, we um, we sort of got the band together, and we got some guys in. They instantly left, and then we got Jules in, and then I don't know. It was just fun, and we were enjoying it. And then I think the first ever gig we played at New Cross Inn. It was like an open mic night, and people were just telling us how great we were and stuff, and we were just like, oh, maybe it's because um, we're new and all this sort of stuff. But then you play more. We've had people turn up and walk into like our rehearsals room and tell us we sound great and stuff like that. And then we're thinking, oh, maybe we can, like maybe we are good.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
O2 isn't the academy, and like yeah, the support just got more and more, and people were saying how well we were doing, how good we sound. So from then, I don't know, it just sort of drove me and I guess the other guys to just take this as far as it can go, because why not? If
Yeah.
you're good at something, why not take it all the way to the top? So that's the aim.
And more than that, if you love doing something, why not fucking full send it? Sure,
Yeah,
people are good at shit
100%.
all the time and miserable, but
Mm,
singing, music, art in particular, in
yeah.
my opinion, and sure, you could find those people who, the exceptions, who are, blow their brains out, but for the
Yeah.
most part, art in particular seems like it's this medium of true and utter expression. Whether you're
Mm,
sad or happy, whether you're down in the dumps, or whether you just achieved your biggest accomplishment of your life, you can express that through sound. And
100%. Yeah.
sound, you know, I'm not sure if it's true or not, but when we listen to people like Graham Hancock, or Dr. Robert Schock, who are talking about these pyramids and how they were constructed, and
Mm,
how sound could have been potential, and there's vibrations in sound.
yeah.
Like, for example, if you're wearing earbuds and you have that
Mm,
that sound with that what is it called, uh it's like, starts with an A. What is that word? The aesthetic. That aesthetic, that
mm,
nostalgic take that you guys have on music.
yeah.
And like I said before, it makes the arms, it gives you goosebumps, it makes the hairs on your arms stand up.
Yeah.
It can deliver an energy, you know,
Mm,
which
definitely.
which kind of takes me to a really interesting question that I love to ask musicians in particular. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of something called the Muse?
The Muse.
Yeah.
I have, but it depends in what context you're speaking of.
So my definition of the muse is an
Mm.
inspiration that comes from an external, or maybe some supernatural source, rather than
Oh,
just within your own brain, or within the own beats of your life and within yourself.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, without a doubt, I fully believe in that. I mean, I think most successful musicians believe in that. You'd be very shocked to understand. So on a similar sort of wavelength. Because I do. I mean, I absolutely believe in muses, and I think they're all around us, and they're always around us. I also think they're this sort of external thing, because I assume the only way that I can sort of explain it that most people would understand is writer's block.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when I'm writing a song, I might have the worst writer's block ever, and then I'll just put it down. I'll stop. I just won't even force it, and then come back, and then the next day it will just all fly out of me. And there's a lot of musicians, like really, like Noel Gallagher from Oasis. You've got Chris Martin from Coldplay as well. He said a very similar thing. I think I can't remember if Ed Sheeran said it. I mean, I'm going off topic for the bands that I like, but which is basically that all the songs are out there fully formed, and they're all there, but they're just waiting to be captured and brought in and played. And someone could have written, I don't know, "Don't Look Back in Anger," or someone could have written "The Scientist" by Coldplay, or whatever it is, and they're all out there. And I do think that, because it's like, I think some people call it like bottling lightning, which is just them inspirations where you'll play a song or you'll play some chords, and then words will just fly out of you, and they usually end up being the best songs as well. So I wholeheartedly believe in the muse.
How many? Speaking of that feeling, how many live shows have you guys done?
Too many to count, I think now. I couldn't even tell you. It's got to be easily over. It's got to be close to 100. I'd assume it's less than 100, but it's got to be more than 50.
Do you guys
That's a guess. Could be wrong.
Do you guys do unreleased music when you're traveling?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
Oh,
So we've got. So basically, our whole set list is currently out, bar one song. So we've got a track called Axiom that we're aiming to get out in April time. Okay. So we're currently working on it right now with we're working on it with a great production company called Sugar House. I think it's Sugar House Studios, Sugar House Productions. They're basically based up north, and for us it's a dream, because obviously for us, when I say up north, so it's like I believe they're in Wigan or St Helens or somewhere like that. If they hear this, don't quote me on that, because I could be wrong. I know they're up north from us. But yeah, the sort of bands that they've worked with are huge on the indie scene in the UK right now. So when they got in contact with us and said they like what we're doing and want to work with us, obviously we grabbed the chance to do it.
Yeah, of course.
And these guys are just I think they're very influenced by like the old most people know it as Britpop. Yeah. But some people would call it like the Manchester scene or the baggy. I don't know if the baggy Manchester scene was the same thing. But it was basically when like Manchester or Northern, because it wasn't just Manchester, Northern music in the 90s were at its prime, and it's a lot of what people listen to, and them guys, I believe, are heavily influenced by that. So yeah, the fact that we actually get to work with them on this new track, I'm really excited with. So yeah, we got new stuff that we're working on that will end up in the set list. And yeah, we will play unreleased songs, just so that they're ready, so that we know what the track is, so that when we come to recording it, we know what we're recording. So
yeah, the reason I asked about the new unreleased shit is because I can imagine if you guys are playing all those venues and only playing the songs you've released, I could imagine that would get repetitive. But
yeah.
But my next question for you would be, what would your what's your biggest show? And once again, I'm going to tie all this back into that feeling. But what would the biggest show you say you guys played would be?
Yeah, the biggest show was definitely, it was probably before we done the release as well. And we're actually going back there. I want to say this year. It's at O2 Islington Academy.
Okay.
Yeah, we played there. It was probably a couple of years ago now, and we absolutely smashed it. We sold. I'm pretty sure we sold it out, but it was the best and worst gig ever, because for some reason we worked with some company. I can't remember if it was Impop, More Live, or Underground Sounds, or whatever they were called, that just absolutely scammed us. So the way it works is you sell tickets, and whoever sells the most tickets ends up on being the headlining act, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, absolutely. And I think I'm pretty sure by far we'd sold the most tickets, and the gig was amazing. Obviously, there were so many people there. There was probably
Oh,
close to. I mean, there was other bands selling tickets as well. So I'm
yeah.
assuming there was, because it was, it sold out. So it must be about 220, 200. It was around about
Bro.
that. I'd say it was between 180 and 220.
Oh my god,
Um,
dude.
yeah, that was incredible. That was one of the best nights ever.
So
Um,
so
and yeah,
sorry.
go on.
No,
That's
no,
right.
no. Please continue. It's hard
No good.
because there's like latency over Discord,
Mhm.
so it's hard to.
Oh,
'Cause
okay.
I'm
No, that's all good.
I'm seeing your green bar before you start talking, so then I stop talking. But you can continue what you were gonna say really quick.
That's right. Yeah, no, I was going to say, yeah, it was one of the best and worst gigs ever because we sold the most tickets. For some reason, they didn't give us the headliner. So as soon as we
Mm,
finished, everyone went out and the place was empty. And
yeah.
there's some band there. Oh, I was so pissed off. Again, that's probably my ego in me, and that's what drives me to go on and try and succeed. I
Yeah.
should really just let it go because it's not that big a deal, and we're going back there soon. I don't think I'm allowed to say anything about it just yet, so I have to keep it quiet. But we've got two gigs coming up. One that we've agreed to, and we're waiting on more information. And we've got another one that will be at O2ism Academy. It's going to be fucking huge. So,
Oh,
uh,
fuck.
yeah, if the information comes out, then before the podcast, I'll let you know, and then yeah, I can share that with you.
Yes, bro. And obviously, if there's ever a time where you want to promote a show or you ever want to talk
Mm.
about like an upcoming project, you're always welcome to come back on.
Oh,
And,
absolutely.
and
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'd love
obviously,
to.
if your bandmates wanted to come on, let's get them in a Discord call. Let's see what's
Yeah.
up with them, and we can see the dynamic of the group. And
Hmm.
we'll see what could happen in the future. But dude, that is fucking awesome. That I
Yeah,
mean,
that was incredible.
it's so awesome to hear when people actually accomplish their goals. Like when you go
Mm.
for something and you actually get it. You know,
Yeah.
I can't understand. There is a certain kind of people out there who like when you tell them something good, they'll literally fucking frown. And because of your
Mm.
success, it like eats them up. I don't know
Mm.
why I just thought about that, but that is the weirdest phenomenon. But when you're
Mm.
when you're standing in front of like 200 people or 180, how whatever number you want to say, when you're playing that song that you've played 50 times before, because I'm sure there was a
Mm.
repeating song a few times, and
Yeah, yeah,
and
of course.
your fingers know where to go on.
Mm.
Do you play an instrument?
Yeah, yeah, I play guitar, yeah.
When your fingers know just where to go, all that muscle
Mm.
memory from all that practice, and you don't even need to think
Mm.
about it, and you know the words, you know the tone that you need to put your voice
Mm.
to, and the level, the volume, and you just
Mm.
start flowing, and you feel like
Mm.
you're levitating above your body. You're not even there, and you're just
Mm.
looking out at all the people loving you and loving the sound that you're making with your mouth, this primal thing that we've been doing for thousands of years, and you
Mm.
stand out from everyone else and you're flowing. I just want you to describe, because I can only imagine that feeling. How does it actually feel to you to be on that stage and just flow?
Yeah, I think to be fair to you, in comparison to your description just then, what I'm going to give you is probably nothing in comparison.
Yeah,
Because that was a great description of pretty much. It was weird the way you described it. Sort of took me back there as well, and sort of reminded me of how that went.
yeah,
Um, yes, it's crazy because it's a mix of emotions really. Because beforehand, you're pretty much shitting yourself because you're like, this is the biggest gig we played. I've not played in front of that many people.
of course.
So there's nervousness there. You're obviously excited because it's a massive gig. It's the biggest gig yet, and that was like a massive highlight for us because we reached one of our goals, which was to play. Because O2, sorry, oh, I
You're
don't know,
all
I've got a bit
good.
of a cough.
You're all good.
Um, yeah, that like O2 in the UK, we've got like different like O2 arenas. So like to be able, I mean, it's still an opening one and a beginning one, but to be able to play it like in the beginning was such a massive achievement for us. So yeah, we're feeling honoured, nervous, I guess. But most of the time, when you're getting ready to like set stuff up on stage, because you've got to walk on, get your equipment set up, get ready. We're not big enough yet to have people do that for us, which I can't wait for. Um, yeah, it's just about going out there, giving a show. But I guess it doesn't dawn on you until you're probably about halfway into the set or about two or three songs in that you're actually playing to people because you're
Yeah.
so focused on just like getting up there, getting plugged in, getting ready, getting the sound right, making sure you're ready, making sure that everyone else is having a good time. Because
Yeah.
realistically, for me, my main priority is not what am I getting for this? My main priority is are they having a good time? Am I doing a good enough job for the fan base? Am I putting on a show? Have they got their money's worth? Because for me, like the fact that someone, even like yourself, like the fact that you've taken out time to have a chat with me and have a talk with me and have me on your podcast, I want to make this worthwhile for you. We want to have these good conversations, and hopefully, people be inspired by this, or they'll really enjoy this and they'll want to see this. And it's the same for when I do a live show, or even when we do a recording. Like I want people, even though the recording's free on Spotify, I still want people to get their worth out of it, and I want people to be able to listen to it again and again. I want that replayability. But then I guess going in on how I feel, I mean, you just feel fucking amazing, didn't you? It's like it's probably one of the. I mean, when it gets to the higher levels of where we're selling out, like big arenas and stadiums and stuff like that, because that eventually will be the target. I mean, that stuff will just be next level because it's just the high and the adrenaline and everything. And like you said, people are singing your songs back to you, they're watching you, and
Oh,
it's just like a drug. You can't. There's no other drug like it. Like
I can't
you
imagine.
see all these. Yeah, you see these rock stars, and like even they'll say it. They'll, you know, people are on the strong stuff like heroin, like
Yeah.
cocaine, all that sort of stuff, and and they're saying like there's nothing like it, like to chase that, and people come back to it, and even on a smaller scale, I mean, we've done pretty well,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's just a great feeling, fully enjoy it, and I just hope that the people listening and the people attending are feeling the same way as we are.
I promise you, I've only been listening to you guys for I want to say just over just over like 3 weeks. So I have something to admit to you. I have
Go on.
something to admit. I saw your post on Reddit weeks before I actually DM'd you because
Yeah.
when I looked you up on Spotify and I saw that you guys, and this leads into another question I have, kind of a low tier question, but still something I was wondering. But when I saw you guys were verified on Spotify, I was like, oh, there's no fucking way I'm getting a text back. Like, there's no way. And so I sat on it for weeks, and I was like, one day I just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna shoot the shot. Let's see what he's gonna say." Fuck
Yeah.
it. You only live once. Also, sorry if you
Yeah.
guys heard that
Exactly.
beeping. That was an alarm. But and so I'll be generous and say like maybe a month. Let's say I've been listening to you guys. So the fact that people actually pulled up to your shows, if they're even getting 75%,
Mm.
I don't want to, like I said at the beginning of the show, I don't know if it was the other recording that I said this or this one, but like I said,
Mm.
I'm genuinely not trying to suck your dick here, but
No, you
your
can. I
guys'
enjoy it. To be fair.
aesthetic, your guys' vibe. If I were to share my
Mm.
screen on Discord right now,
Mm.
you would recognize probably 75% of my playlist. You'd probably
Mm.
know the songs,
Yeah.
and so the fact, like, if I found out you guys were coming to America, dude, I'm fucking flying somewhere type shit, you
Oh,
know.
thanks, bro. That means a
And
lot.
so I can only imagine that fucking feeling. I used to
Mm.
do very, very small, minimal. I mean, you can't even compare the kind of shit I used to do musically,
Mm.
and we used to do little tiny shows, and we would have all our friends pull up, and I would look at my friend, and I would look over at him. I don't want to say his name on the podcast, obviously, but
That's right.
I would just see, bro, and keep in mind, shitty rap music made by two white kids from the suburbs. But I look over at my friend, and he's rapping the song just with the biggest smile on his face. You
Yeah,
know,
that's what
and
it's
and
about.
I'm just projecting. This is pure
Mm,
projection, pure, I'm living vicariously through you. I
mm,
can just imagine how it would feel to look over at your homies and just be like, "Holy shit,
mm,
with my
we're doing
bros,
this.
with my
Mm,
bros." How long have you
yeah.
known, Mason for? Mason
Oh,
and your other homie, I forgot what your other homie's name. My bad, bro.
Jules. No, that's all right. That's all right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Just go back on the point of what you're saying. I think I know what you're saying, and I know you're trying to talk down, what you did and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
I think the six. I genuinely just think we are lucky.
Oh,
Like I said, when
shit.
I got the band together, we could have easily been these, couple of white kids who I guess Jules isn't. I guess I'm technically not completely white, but yeah, but like we could have just been these, like tall, lanky, skinny. Well, I'm not skinny, but they are. Kids who are just doing gigs and being shit and making music that they love and they enjoy. Like we go to so many gigs, and there's bands that might not be the best, and the artists ain't doing great, or it doesn't sound great, or whatever. But I just think that's so irrelevant because the whole point of it is you're doing what you love.
Yeah.
I'm just so lucky that it turns out what we love doing and what we are doing is it just seems to resonate with people.
That's awesome,
And
dude.
we found people out there that enjoy listening to what we do. So I don't think that anything that you and your friend did was any different from what we're doing. And
Oh,
I
no.
think I think you guys loved what you was doing. You was enjoying it,
Yeah.
and that's for me that's the most important part. I think
So,
it's worse to not even try or to not even do it and to give up than try, and because I know it was like I mean,
oh,
especially in the beginning, like writing
yeah,
songs and playing them to people or singing in front of people, and it is honestly the most daunting and horrible thing you can ever do because you're essentially showing people like your inner thoughts and your inner workings, and
exactly.
you're laying it bare for people to. I mean, I feel like I'm partly mentally ill because when people slag me off, and like I get it on Reddit all the time, like constantly, I get people on TikToks, telling us how shit we are, and like don't get me wrong, we get the bad stuff, but I'm of the opinion that any attention is good attention. So I literally couldn't care less if you hate us or love us as long as you're listening.
So,
And
I have, oh, sorry.
yeah, no, go on,
But
that's all good.
I'm not meaning to interrupt, but
No, 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 it's fine, it's fine.
you said something that's very interesting that I really want to touch on.
Yeah, go for it.
And I really didn't want to lose that thought. And I hate to
Yeah,
interrupt
yeah.
you, but I think this is important to touch on. First things first,
Hmm.
I didn't say white kid from the suburbs to bring anybody
Oh,
down. If you're a white
oh,
guy,
no, 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 I
listen,
know.
you could full send it. There's a lot of
Mm,
successful white rappers, but
yeah.
me and my bros were talking about shooting guns and selling drugs. I mean, this is the most degenerate
Yeah.
shit you can imagine. I was
Mm,
15 years old with dreadlocks. This was not
yeah.
established etiquette. This was very
Yeah.
piss poor. Examples of music. So when I say that, that was just self-deprecation. I'm not trying to shit on anybody for
Mm.
anything.
Oh, no,
But
no, no, no. I didn't mean it like that.
no,
I
no,
just meant
no.
that
I'm
you
just
shouldn't shit on
clarifying. I'm
yourself
just making
because yeah,
sure that what I said,
yeah,
because
yeah. Fair, fair, fair.
I
Oh
know
no,
there's
no,
a
no,
lot
no.
of people out there who do feel like, oh, well, I'm white, so maybe this'll, or maybe,
Mm,
let's reverse it. I'm black, so maybe it feels wrong to be in a rock show, or whatever.
mm,
What
that's
that's what I'm saying.
mm.
But
Yeah.
going,
I get what I do get what you're saying. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, it's just them things where people think, because
yeah,
of where they're from or who they are, that they can't. They
Yeah,
can't
that's
do
a big
certain
one.
things.
That's a big
But
one.
I know you weren't saying that, but the point that I was trying to make was more that, you know, I think that um, sometimes you've got to be bad to be good, and like
Preach.
it's like a growth mindset. And you know, I don't. The thing with me is like most people look at mistakes and go, "Oh, fuck that, I'm not doing that again," because you know I keep making mistakes and keeps going wrong. Whereas I'm like, "Oh, I've made a mistake.
Dude.
How do I how do I improve? How do I get better?" And I think it's more about that and more about doing that. So you don't know. You could have gone on to be really good if you stuck at it and you know you found a new
Perhaps.
sound or anything like that. Maybe that type of rap didn't, or you know whatever you were doing, that type of music didn't suit. There could have been this type of music that did suit you. And I think, but I think you should just be proud in yourself that you
Yeah.
actually went out there and fucking gave it a shot. Because I would put it to you now, 90% of people are too scared to do what they love because they worry about what other people say.
Now,
And that to me is just such a shame.
I gotta cut you off here because now we have
Go on, that's
three
good.
things. We have three things that you just said in itself that are fascinating. Mentally ill. Um, shit. Can you remind me what you just said?
Yeah, I said I
Okay.
think I don't know if I should be using the term mentally ill because I'm probably not actually
No,
mentally
no,
ill.
no.
When I
It's
say that,
good.
I
It's
feel
good.
like I've got more of a mental inability. So, for instance, that I don't know. Like I mean, it's probably me growing up and the way me and my friends are because we are fucking ruthless to each other. But I struggle to take offence and I struggle to take
No,
on. Like I do take on bad criticism because I think it's very healthy and it's good.
of
But if someone's
course.
shitting on you for shitting on you's sake, it's just like, geez, you know, like usually the person who's saying you're a shit singer, your band shit, blah blah blah. They're like people go to the analogy of oh they're probably living in their mum's basement or something like that. They're probably not. They probably are just a normal guy. They're probably even a nice person who has a decent job and doing that. But if you aren't doing music and you're not in the, you know, like we are, we're now in like over the top 20% of all Spotify artists. I think that's the stat. You know, I'm not going to take advice from someone who's just going out there to spread hate for. Oh, I
Let
sound
me
like a cringy like
let me
little
emphasize. Let
bitch
me
now, but
emphasize. And
yeah.
then and we were talking about making mistakes. Um,
All right,
but
yeah.
this is gonna take just a moment. So let me
No,
let
no,
me
no, go for
elaborate.
it. Yeah,
Sometimes
yeah.
sometimes it's hard for me to push the words out, so I do apologize. I'm
No,
sure
I'm the
I'm
same.
sure that's like the shittiest quality in a podcast host ever. But
No, no, no. It's all
let
good.
me
We're all learning.
when we're talking about mental illness, right? Let's
Mm,
think about what that means for a moment. What
yeah,
is mental illness? It just means that something in your brain is firing a little bit differently. You know,
yeah,
like you look
yeah.
at
True.
dudes
Yeah.
like Elon Musk who
Mm.
hits a sea kyle on inauguration day. You know,
Oh yeah.
I don't think bro is a white supremacist, but
No,
let me
I
just
don't.
say, let me just
Can I
say
just give can
that
I just give my quick opinion on
that's some fucking autistic shit right there.
yeah, that was fucking stupid. This is my thing, right? I
Yeah,
think when he done that,
yeah,
I completely agree with you. I don't
yeah.
think he's a white supremacist. I
No,
don't think he supports the Nazi party.
no.
Um, but he is a fucking idiot for
He's
doing
a
it
weirdo.
because why he knows what's going to come after doing
Yeah.
something like that,
How
and
can
like
he?
being in the position he is, like, and I
Yeah,
think he let himself down because for me, I'm not against Elon Musk. Oh, I
yeah.
don't understand the hate for this man. You know, he's creating cars that are better
Well,
for the environment.
SpaceX,
He,
dude,
yeah,
fucking
he's doing
grabbing rockets out of the air
yeah,
with ginormous robot hands. What
exactly.
the fuck?
And I'm of the opinion he's the best. He is probably the best human being. I mean, I could be getting this wrong as the last good inventor, but he's
Yeah,
probably the best next person since Thomas Edison
that's
in
not a far-fetched
ingenuity
statement.
and what he's done. Probably Steve Jobs then actually, because Steve Jobs done a lot for the
Yeah,
revolutions of smartphones and things that went on. But yeah, I think like what he's doing for the human race is great. He's building underground tunnels because obviously he wants to
traffic and
reduce
all
traffic
shit.
and things like that.
Yeah,
He's also, you know, the environment and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I just think he's a fucking idiot for doing it because
Yeah.
you know what you know the backlash you're going to get after doing something like that. So
And
yeah,
folks, let me just emphasize this before you call me like, oh, he's a Russian spy. You know, whatever the news
yeah,
says about people who defend Elon nowadays.
mm,
Before you call me that, when he first did that, and I had no context, I said this publicly. I said that he should be removed from the White House. He should
mm,
resign from SpaceX, Tesla, X. He should resign from it all. Those were literally my first
mm,
thoughts, you know, because I have a lot of family from Poland, and it's like, but
yeah,
I said all that, but I had like no context of the situation, and I said all that, and I didn't even really think about the words before I said them, you know. I just the first thing that really came to my mind was like that whole thing that happened at MSG, Madison Square Garden, with all those Nazis, you know. And it genuinely, the whole thing with Elon genuinely freaked me out. And I'm sorry if that makes me sound like a pussy. I will admit
mm,
it, and I'll be the bigger man, and I'll say I was wrong. You know, looking back on it in retrospect, I don't think he's a white supremacist, but
no,
I
that's
also think that I think bro is super autistic, and he
yeah, 100%.
literally did that and wasn't even thinking about it. Like he just did that,
Mm,
and he was like fucking, you know, my heart goes out to you. Like, imagine if his hand was
mm,
just tilted up just a little bit more, you know, where the palm of
mm,
his hand was facing the crowd, you know. And keep in mind, if it does come out that Elon's a white supremacist, I was right the whole time. Get fucked. I was right. But
mm,
I don't think he is. I don't know.
yeah.
Time will tell.
I,
Time will tell.
I mean, I can't agree with him being a white supremacist because, and
Yeah.
this is the only thing. So for me, I'm very much a centrist
Same.
in like all my values, and
Same.
the thing is when people start, you know, I had grandparents who fought in World War II, and like I've heard direct stories of things that went on and stuff like that. And the thing that I hate about people using the terms white supremacy and Nazi and stuff like that,
Oh
and things,
God,
you know, like
yes.
that is that it massively undermines people that actually are, and the damage that those actual people cause. Because I'm not being funny. If Elon Musk was like a Nazi and a white supremacist and stuff like that, there'd be the things he would push on Trump and the policies and things like that would be so vastly different
Yep.
to what they are. And I think he'll be pushing a different ideology. So
Well,
I don't necessarily believe that. I mean, I don't agree with all of his
yeah,
policies and stuff
yeah,
like that, or well, they're not his policies, but you know, his beliefs and things like that. Because um, there's I mean, I'm more on the his invention side and
yep.
stuff like that. But
No, I
I think
completely agree.
I think
My,
to do that over a hand gesture,
yep,
I think that is clutching at straws.
yep.
So what's the point? What do you get out of it?
What?
Um,
Well, let's ask me. Ask me that. What did I get out of it? You know, I got nothing. What did I get?
mm,
I got. Now I feel embarrassed that I ever said it. That's how I feel. You know, and
mm,
keep in mind, I voted for Trump twice. You know, and I would have
mm,
voted for him 3 times, but I wasn't old enough in 2016. But
yeah.
and let me just start with that. So I'm not one of these progressive wokeists, but I'm also not Trump
Mm.
is God. You know, like you said it. You
Yeah,
described it
fair.
beautifully.
Centrist, yeah.
I believe that if you're not hurting anyone or trying to take their rights away, you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want. That's
Yeah, that
if
I
you had to
completely agree
sum
with.
up my
Yeah, yeah.
politics, that's it. I don't care if
Yeah,
you're gay and want to marry another dude. I don't
yeah.
care if you want to do drugs in your house. I don't care. But as
Mm,
soon as you leave your house on drugs and try to eat somebody's face,
yeah,
maybe you should go to
yeah, that's
prison
right.
forever. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
But
No, I do agree.
the fact of the matter is that you said exactly the truth. When people say these words and they call people racist or call people Nazi,
Yeah,
my personal favorites, personally, are when they say fascist and bigot. Because,
yeah, it's
you
insane.
know, I haven't been politically inclined for a decade, but I have been
Mm,
politically inclined for about 5 years now. And 5 years
Mm,
ago, I looked up the word fascism with my dad. And,
mm,
because I said that, shit was fascist. I used to be an idiot. I used to be a retard, folks. Believe it or not, we all had to start somewhere. I wasn't always who I am
yeah.
today. And he's like, "Well, look up the word fascist. What does the word fascist actually mean? Because you're saying the word fascist and it's not even right." And then I
Mm,
looked it up, and the real definition of fascism is pushing a political ideology through violence and force. That is the
yeah,
definition of
exactly.
fascism. But when they say Trump is a fascist, white supremacist, bigot, you know, I don't know
Mm,
if you have your phone or a keypad in front of you, but if you want to look up the word bigot, I never looked that up. But
mm,
I would type it in on my computer, but I have a very clickety clackety keyboard that would mess up. But if you don't want to, that's absolutely fine. It won't
yeah,
mess
mine's
up my.
clickety clackety as well.
You're all good. It won't mess up my
Yeah.
example. But they use this word fascism and they talk
Mm,
about Trump. But what is fascism? Fascism is trying to
mm,
stop people from who have an opposite point of view from you. You're trying to
mm,
stop them from talking and getting that out there. You're trying to
yeah.
persecute political opponents. What is fascism? What does that mean?
Mm,
You have this guy who disagrees with you fundamentally on everything, and he has land and real estate in the most expensive spot in the world. Mar-a-Lago is the most expensive real estate in the world, by the way. And so
mm,
if you have a house there, hundreds of millions of dollars instantly. The houses next to him were worth
mm,
hundreds of millions, and yet they only evaluated his at 34 million. And
mm,
I'm currently studying real estate as it is. And let me tell you something.
mm,
If they charged Trump with those felonies, they would have to charge
mm,
almost every real estate agent in the country with felonies as well. Every single person. They would have to charge every single real estate, because what is real estate? What is equity? You're building equity on your house. You're regaining your investment on the property. And so
mm,
these are what are they? They're misdemeanor charges, and they were bumping them up to felonies. You're talking you would start like this crazy cycle of people going to prison for years and years. It would be absolutely insane. And,
mm.
in order to be on the left, and I'll stop yapping for this. After
No, no,
this,
it's all good.
I
It's all
swear,
good.
I swear.
I feel
But
like you've got something you need to get off your chest, so
oh
I'll let
no,
you.
no, you're
I'll let
all
you
good,
keep
man.
going. No, it's all good. It's all good.
You're all good, man. You
Yeah.
know, when you come at these values and when you come at these
Mm.
rights, you are gonna be you are coming at this definition of the pursuit of happiness, you know,
Yeah.
and ultimately that's why you have more people like centered, because
Yeah.
this stuff is it's ridiculous, blatantly lying to people. That's crazy,
Mm.
man. But I digress even more.
That's all good.
We were talking about mental illness.
Yeah.
Now, what I have to say about that is I think if you look at artists throughout history, whether it be Van Gogh or whether it
Mm.
be who's the dude that did the Sistine Chapel?
Uh,
Michelangelo, right?
yeah.
Michelangelo.
Yeah. I think you're right.
And
Was it him or
these
Leonardo?
crazy dudes who work
Yeah.
days on end on a ladder in the
Yeah.
fucking what? When was the Sistine Chapel built?
Mate,
Fucking
fucking yeah, years ago.
yeah, years ago. Like at
Yeah.
least at
My
least
miss,
a
my
year
missus will know
ago.
she's Italian.
It was at least a
Yeah.
year ago. At least a year.
Mm.
So, and these crazy fuckers who were, making insane art. I think the only
Mm.
way that you can make insane art is by not being fully, having everything there. You got people
Mm.
like, I believe it's Greg Fitzsimmons, very famous
Well,
comedian.
great name.
He let homeless people sleep on his porch. And
Oh, fair play to him.
some chick got stabbed on his
Oh my
porch.
god.
Yeah, yeah. And so I feel like, and you got guys like Dave Chappelle who if you tell Dave Chappelle, hey, listen, this part of your show, we don't really like this. How about you just give us creative control and we'll give you $50 million
Mm.
for one bit on his show. And he tells you to go fuck yourself. And he
Yeah,
runs
that I get though. That I
and,
do get.
and he runs away to Africa and then comes back to America. He goes to Africa for like 3 years, I think. And then he
Mm.
comes back to America and does stand up on fucking street corners for free. The most famous comedian in the world
That's
is
insane.
standing on the street corner doing free comedy, just stand up because he loves it so much. And so when
Mm.
you say mentally ill, I think that
Mm.
is a beautiful thing, and I don't think you can be an artist without it, quite frankly. I don't think so.
Mm.
If I didn't love talking so much, what the fuck? You know?
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. It's, I don't know, like, I'm inclined to. I don't fully disagree with you. I think you are somewhat right because I feel like people who maybe are mentally different or mentally ill or whatever is the right way to say it is that they're probably going to react in a way that's so vastly different from the normal person. So they're giving us something almost new, or they're creating something new that people haven't got a perspective of. Like when you hear, because I've watched a lot of interviews with Chris, not his name, what's it, Tarantino,
Yeah,
Quentin
yeah.
Tarantino. That guy, you listen to him and you're like, he's probably not all there upstairs, but his mind is absolutely incredible. So yes, I do somewhat agree with you, but then I also think there are some, normal cases out there. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe with drugs involved
No,
and stuff
no,
like
no.
that. But
That's
then,
not
yeah.
what I'm
So,
saying. No,
oh,
no.
you're okay.
You got guys like Bill Burr who are normal
Mm,
dudes. Bill Burr, Shane Gillis, in my
yeah,
opinion,
yeah.
Mark Norman. These are dudes that you could
Mm,
have a beer with and it would be a good time.
yeah.
And they're so of course, no, I completely agree. But you gotta
Mm,
admit that dudes like Beethoven, dudes like all these
mm.
classic what's another good one? What's another good artist from back in the day that was a musician?
Um,
Mozart. You got these guys,
Mozart, yeah.
and when they were alive, no one gave a fuck about them. It was only
Yeah,
hundreds of
mad.
years. Leonardo da Vinci. No one gave
Mm,
a fuck about these dudes when they
Picasso,
were alive. Picasso, yes,
yeah.
but then after they're dead, they're massive. They go for hundreds of millions of
Yeah.
dollars.
I
You
would
know,
argue that Nirvana were huge, but I would argue that they got even bigger and they were immortalized once
sure,
Kurt Cobain died. I
hundred
would also
percent.
argue that. But yeah, I guess, I think also in a way, I mean, especially back then and things like that, I guess mental health is relatable.
Yeah,
Like if you look at like Kurt Cobain and what he wrote about and what he was saying and things like that, I think people had the same struggle. Like, because when you're talking about mental health and the things that you're going through, people find you so much more relatable because
yeah,
you're no longer a god to them that is up there and doing these major things. You're that guy that, oh, he is one of, or she is one of us. These people can these people are like us. They can relate to us, and then that's why they enjoy their music, and that's like, oh, I get what this person's trying to say, and I think that relatability helps. So yeah, I think there is that to it as well. But yeah, I've always found it weird that people find there was another band, what were they called? I don't know if they were from Sweden. They all died in Sweden. I need to find this band and say they're a band and they were either from Sweden or they were from the UK.
yeah,
Coldplay started playing one of their songs at a gig one time, but basically there was this band and they were doing all right. They were taking off and they were doing pretty well. There's some of that shows doing well, and then I think they were touring somewhere and their coach either had a crash or it fell off. I don't know. It could be a room that fell off a cliff, but basically they had a coach crash or whatever happened, and the whole band died, and then they absolutely exploded. Like
yeah.
their music was so much more popular, which I think is crazy because these young kids could have been such great and
Yeah,
big artists.
that's the
But
worst.
yeah, it's just unfortunate that these things happen.
I think that it's because like when you hear people that are dead, you know nothing more can come from it. And so it's like echoes from the past.
Yeah, sorry, the band was called Viola Beach.
Who?
Viola Beach.
Never heard of them. What kind of
Yeah,
music do they make? Classic rock?
it's not too dissimilar from what we make. But
Okay,
I'd say it's slightly more softer rock than what we do on that
gotcha.
scale of indie. But yeah, they're really good. I like their stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, they all passed away.
How old were they? Do you know?
I remember they were. I remember reading they were in their late teens.
Oh,
Uh,
dude.
they weren't. Yeah, they weren't that old. Viola Beach. Yeah, it doesn't say.
That is real. That's fucking
But
awful.
yeah, they were late teens, early 20s. I'm pretty sure
Yeah.
when they passed away. But yeah, that must have been awful for the families and stuff. But yeah, they went on, like their music went on and we started taking off after that, which is such a shame as well because um, you know, yeah, they could have gone on to be amazing. But
Yeah,
it's one of
man.
them things, I guess, isn't it? It's like,
It is.
yeah,
But
it's
it's what
weird that
makes life
humans are like that.
beautiful though. You know? It's what makes life I talked about this because I just did a podcast with my mom actually. And you know,
Nice.
this was one of the things we talked about was one of the reasons that life is so beautiful is because cancer exists. You know, the
Mm,
fact that you have this thing where if you get diagnosed with cancer tomorrow, your whole life is different. You're
yeah.
fighting to stay alive now from this thing
Mm,
inside of you that you can't control. And it could kill you any day. Let's say you get diagnosed with stage 4, and now you're dead within months, right? Unless you're lucky.
yeah, literally. Yeah,
And
you are
so
literally,
and
yeah, dead
so
in
there's this weird thing that happens when you know that at any point in your life it could be cut short. You know, you think you're going to live for 80 years or 100 years or however old you think you're going to live for, but in
mm,
reality tomorrow it could be cut short. And
yeah, it's mad.
in my opinion, you starting your band and you going on these podcasts and you reaching out and you wanting to, put your guys' name out there. It is
100%.
literally, in my opinion, what all people should be doing. This
Yeah,
creative
I completely
endeavor
agree. Yeah.
all day, all day. Most people, I know there's a few of you out there listening that don't go on your phone, and I don't know, Mr. Rooker, do you go?
Mm.
Are you commonly on your phone?
Oh yeah, I am a lot. Well, I mean, to be fair, before the band, I didn't use it a lot. So, like for instance, when I'm at gigs and stuff, I never have my phone out. I have the best camera in the world, and it's my brain. You know, I sit there and I see all these people at gigs, and I see all these people doing this stuff, and they'll record the gig or they'll take photos. I mean, photos are nice if you're going to print them out and stuff. And I get that. But like, how many times have you recorded something or taken photos of a certain place and then you haven't even looked at that photo ever again?
Yeah.
See, and for me, that just all that does is nullify the whole point of having a camera. For me, like cameras are for creating memories or videos for creating memories, so you can look back on them. Like, you know, my nan used to have like photo albums and stuff like that we'd go through and see like all her family and my family, and like we had baby videos that we'd go back and watch and stuff. But yeah, so like for me, I was always a very live in the moment guy. I like to experience life. I like to feel things. I like to be real. I like to be present. Like when I'm out for dinner with anyone, I won't have my phone out. Um, yeah, I don't think um, social media, which is actually weird. The new single "You're Alright" is literally about
Yeah.
dealing with mental health while we've got our phones and we've got we've essentially got social media strapped to our hand 24/7, all these opinions just filtering through our brain every single day, and
Yup.
the struggles that brings, and sometimes it's just good to just be wrong or just accept that things are not going to go okay, and that in the end, like how many times have things gone wrong? How many times have we had the wrong leaders in charge? But things are going to be all right. So,
Oh yeah.
go back to your original question. Yeah, I am a lot on my phone now, but most of it is for band stuff. Other than that, the only time I use my phone is to contact or message friends and family. Personally, on social media, I don't really use it. I might have a little bit of a scroll through TikTok, but other than that, I do use it a lot, but that's only because I've got to be doing this band stuff. Yeah, I'm doing hours and hours a day, so that's why.
Well, the only reason I bring it up is
Mm,
because, a lot of the time, because I didn't want to generalize you and say like, oh yeah, you're on your phone, even though I never even asked you. So that's, but
yeah,
but oftentimes a lot of people are on their phones so much and they're absorbing all this stuff that other people create, and they're
yeah,
absorbing
exactly.
all this external information rather than putting that out in the world. Their intake is more
Mm,
than their outtake.
yeah, it's
And
insane.
so, and a lot of people, I think that as people, human beings,
Mm,
Homo sapiens, we need to have
mm,
some sort of creative output, whether fucking one person listens to your shit or whether 1,000 or 5,000 or 1,000,000
mm,
people listen to your shit. You
yeah,
should have that creative output because I think it's healthy. It's like a vitamin.
yeah, yeah,
Something
100%.
something just popped into my mind that I would love your take on. One thing that I've thought about over the last few years would be, I think ideas are alive. I think they're life forms. And when you're thinking of an idea, like, if you check the recent history for the podcast, I haven't uploaded in a couple
Mm,
weeks, but I have a shit ton of podcasts that I want to upload. But
mm,
because I haven't uploaded, I feel like this buildup, of
mm.
creativity. And I feel like
Yeah,
we
I know
all
what you're
are
saying.
all
Yeah,
supposed to get that out there, and to let
yeah.
people experience us for who we truly are. I don't know if that was a little contrived explanation, but I tried my best.
No, 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 it's cool. I love it. Yeah, I think. Well, one question I've got for you,
What's up?
before I ask, do you have ADHD, or do you have any form of ADHD or anything like
Yeah,
that, or you
yeah,
don't know?
I do.
Yeah, I thought so, because the way that you think is very similar to the way that I think. I've never been diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I've got some form of ADHD. I was unofficially diagnosed. I went on a date with this nurse one time, and she was like, "You," she essentially said I have reek of ADHD.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I get completely what you're saying. So I think, especially for people, I don't know if it's the same for everyone else, but I think for people like us, um, like we almost become infatuated with certain things, but then we can also lose interest just as quickly. Um, and Yeah, like there'll be times where I'll be sitting there and I might even watch a film, and then like I'll be like even earlier before I went out on a run, I was sitting there and I was like, "Oh, I need to play my guitar and I need to play a few songs." I just get like, I know what you mean. It's like the feeling's like an urge to
Yeah.
like do something or be creative and stuff
Yep.
like that. And yeah. I get that. I get that a lot. And I've done so many things. I've tried so many things, and I remember my parents used to go, "Oh, you just try everything and drop it." But I'm so glad that I did, because eventually
Yeah.
music was one of the things that I found and I stuck with,
You
and it's
know,
going really well, and it drives me, and I love it. So I
yeah.
think for me, having what I assume is undiagnosed ADHD has been an absolute dream for me, because the hyper focus in music and what we do is just the best fit. The reward feeling is incredible.
First of all, I just want to say, are you with that lady that you went? You're not with her, right? Are you?
No, 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 no.
Okay,
I'm not
good,
with her.
because
No,
she
no,
sounds
no,
like
that's
a
good.
fucking cunt. I would hope to God we would
Mm,
need to organize
mm,
something. We'll get you on some dating apps. We'll find you someone better. Because what the fuck are you
mm.
saying? Reeking of ADHD. What does that even
Yeah, no,
mean?
it's a
What does that
crazy
mean
thing to
exactly?
honestly. Dating was
Because I'm able to focus on
incredibly
what I
awful.
care about. And yeah, sure,
Mm,
you pick things up and drop them quickly. But the reason you
Mm.
drop them quickly is because you're not fucking interested. And then once you find something,
Yeah.
you don't drop it and you hold on tightly
Yeah.
and you
Exactly.
find
Yeah.
out
Yeah.
every
That's exactly.
little
Yeah.
fucking thing that you can about it. So, yeah, I
Mm.
think the best course of action for people like that is tell them to go fuck themselves. And you're probably
Yeah.
smarter than them anyway, so you don't really need them in your life. But
Yeah.
no,
For
no,
me,
man,
I mean.
my favorite quote is
Mm.
your goal on birth should be like as you're a little sperm cell swimming in your mother's pussy.
Mm.
Your goal should be to be as autistic as you possibly can without
Uh,
being nonverbal. You don't want to be nonverbal. Don't go too far, but you want to have it just enough to be a fucking genius. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
When
No, I
people
get it.
say ADHD, listen, I understand, like, for myself, I
Mm.
take medication to control my ADHD, but
Mm.
that's for when I'm working. When I'm at home, I
Yeah.
don't like
Fair.
right now, no, I don't take my medicine for it.
Yeah.
You know, because I feel like I don't even need it in order to focus on a conversation with you. You know, and
Yeah.
so about things that I'm passionate about, I feel like it's
Mm.
a superpower, you know, and I think when you ask I think if
100%.
you were to ask any successful person, and obviously success is subjective, so you got to
Okay.
define that word success. But I guarantee you, if you ask any successful person those questions, and don't tell them it's an ADHD test, just ask them the question.
Mm.
And I guarantee you they're
Mm.
gonna score pretty fucking autistic. Guaranteed.
Mm.
It's happened whenever I do it to really smart people. You know, they get super
Mm.
autistic scores. But most of those super smart people own their own businesses. You know, and
Yeah.
so like we were saying before when we're talking about mental illness, I think that there is this stigma against the word mental illness to where if you talk
Mm.
about it, people get like, "Oh, really? What? Him? No way."
Yeah.
Instead of being
Yeah.
like, "Oh, really? That's pretty interesting actually. Is that why you're the way you
Yeah.
are?" You know?
Yeah.
And
I
so
find it. Oh God. Sorry.
no, 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 you're good. I was
Yeah.
done.
Okay. I was just going to say. Yeah. I feel with my. I mean, I don't really struggle with mental illness in the how can I explain it? In the like sense that most people would recognize. But like I feel like people find it weird when I explain that my struggles with mental health and things that happen and
Yeah.
things like that. Maybe just because the way I am, but yeah, and maybe because the way I explain it is so blasé. Because I don't know, like I don't really. I mean, I don't. I'm suffered ever suffered with anxiety. I don't. I've had quite a few. Can I say I have a few traumas in my life? Maybe I have. Maybe I haven't. It depends. But then when I've explained things to my girlfriend, she's like, "Yeah, they probably are traumas." But because I find it so easy to sweep things under the rug and just push it to the back of my mind. I mean, like once every year or two, I have like a panic attack or whatever. I had a couple this year, whatever. But
Yeah.
because I know how to manage them and get through them, like I just it's sort of that even that unphases me, and it's probably a very unhealthy way that I manage it and practice it. But um, I don't know. I just feel like I have a hold on things, and that um, I'm not saying that it's easy for other people, and I'm not saying that just because I can do it, everyone else can, because everyone's built differently. There's probably people out there who handle it better than me as well,
Yeah, man.
And yeah, so I think I know what you mean by some people are like, oh, what X Y Z, because yeah, I think people don't know what's going on, and I say people don't know what's going on in my head. Half the time I'm half the time, more than half the time, I'm usually fine. It's just everyone has their down moments, everyone has their issues,
Of course.
and yeah, so
Yeah, man.
you just got to agree with the point of what you're saying.
Yeah, and I think this ties back into what we were talking about earlier with mistakes. You were talking about mistakes, and I wanted to comment on that.
Yeah,
Um,
cool.
and so when we talk about mistakes, I think a lot of people hold themselves accountable for mistakes they made 10 years ago, 5 years ago, or mistakes they made yesterday. And I think one of the most important things that we could get out there, and I think we could both agree, I think everyone could agree on this. You are
Mm,
not your mistakes, and it is a choice.
mm,
I've met so many people who are like, yeah, man, I'm an asshole, dude. I've always been an asshole. Everyone says I'm an asshole, and I'm always going to be one. And it's like, you don't understand that that's a decision that you're making now.
Yeah.
When you start, I think it's an important
Noticing it.
thing.
Yeah.
I think it's an important thing when you say, I'm not self-diagnosing, because a lot of people do. A lot of people will say, yeah, I have OCD, I have ADHD, I have autism, I'm slow. And in reality, you don't. And you're putting literal limitations on yourself based off of what other people think about you. And I think it's
Yeah.
really important if people recognize, no, man, you can decide whether or not you are going to be those mistakes. Are you going to make those mistakes again, or are
Yeah.
you going to learn
You're gonna
and
learn from
realize
it.
you're an asshole? I
Yeah.
wanted I
So
wanted to ask you,
yeah, go on.
have you ever done any kind of psychedelic before?
Oh yeah. Well, what would you
Really?
class as a psychedelic?
Say that one more time, buddy.
What would you class as a psychedelic?
We're talking acid, mushrooms,
Oh no, God no.
MDMA,
Oh yes, then yes, I have. Yeah, yeah,
research
yeah.
chemicals like 1B LSD,
I've not done
4
LSD or anything like that. I've
4D dimethyltryptamine. Sorry.
yeah, I've done that's right. I've done MDMA and ecstasy, but the rest I've done other drugs as well. But yeah, they were the main two when I was probably about late teens, early 20s, going to festivals and stuff like that. Yeah,
So
me and my mates used to
you said,
used to do it a fair bit.
sorry, say that last part again. I didn't mean to interrupt. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah, no, yeah, like MDMA and ecstasy and stuff like that. Yeah, me and my friends, we used to. I guess we done it a fair bit. Like sometimes even when we weren't at gigs, I remember sitting and being at a house party doing it. I had a really
That's
bad
crazy.
trip one time, absolutely awful. I literally, I can't remember what it was. I think I was taking ecstasy. One of my friends said, take half because it was this shit's like the more powerful one than we'd ever done. And I was like, no, I'll be fine, I'll be fine. Took it, and I just felt fucking dreadful. Like it was a complete opposite how I'd felt every other time, and it was fucking me up.
That
So
wasn't
I was like, I need
ecstasy,
to
man.
yeah, fuck me,
No.
it probably wasn't. Probably fucking wasn't. So I've gone upstairs into one of my to my friend whose house it was room. I was like, mate, I need to just lay down. I was like, I need to turn off the lights. Like my eyes are killing me, and just sit there. I thought I was in the room for 10 minutes. I came down, and the party was. So this was at the beginning of the party. It's probably about I don't know 8, 9 o'clock. I came down. I thought I'd been up there 10 minutes. It was 4 in the morning. And everyone had gone, and
What?
people, yeah, and people, mate, that was the most fucked up thing ever. But
No.
yeah, we went to festivals, done stuff like that, nights out, and yeah, done it a fair few times.
Oh my god, dude. So, and you said you did MDMA and ecstasy. Those are two
Yeah,
different things?
not at the same, not at the same time. Yeah, well, whenever I've done MDMA, it came in like a powder form, and then ecstasy would usually be like a tablet.
That's really interesting. So,
Mm,
are you sure that because over here MDMA, so if and I study pharmacology. I'm an amateur pharmacologist. I don't study through
yeah,
school. I just study because I love the topic. And
mm,
so the molecular structure for MDMA is methylene dioxymethamphetamine. And so
mm,
it's a mixture of that methylene dioxyamphetamine, but it's got a little bit of extra in there. And
mm,
so those are the pressed pills. And that's Molly, MDMA, usually known as ecstasy as well. MDMA is ecstasy. But
yeah.
when it's a powder, we
Mm.
usually call that MDA.
No,
Now
maybe that's what it
I'm
was.
not sure if that's correct,
I mean,
but
I don't know.
I
You
mean,
could very well be right.
I know MDA
I'll be
is
honest.
real, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't even remember what happened at the time. I just
yeah,
shove it up my nose. I didn't really ask questions back then.
yeah, no, that's
So
fair. That's fair,
you're
dude.
probably fully right.
I'm
But
not doubting your story. I'm not
yeah,
saying that.
yeah,
I'm just saying that that's a
no,
peculiar little thing.
yeah,
Um, What others? Because you said that what describes a psychedelic. So MDMA.
Mm.
What other stuff we got? If you're uncomfortable with talking about it, that's absolutely
No,
fine.
no,
But
no,
I,
no,
I
no,
will
no, no.
admit to you and the podcast right now, I don't know if this is already out, but podcast listeners, I have consumed pretty much every drug on the face of the earth.
There is, yeah,
I don't think I've ever smoked meth or like crack, unless someone
yeah,
put it in my weed. Those are like the only two things that I've never done, and fentanyl too.
yeah.
So that's a huge one. Never did fentanyl, but what
Mm.
about you, man?
No, that was it. I mean, I've done.
Oh, okay.
I tried cocaine one
Ooh,
time, done a
that's
bit
fun.
here, but that wasn't for me because I don't know why. You know when you get the drip on the back of your throat,
Yep.
and it was like
Yeah.
my whole throat went numb, and I couldn't
Oh,
swallow, and I
buddy,
felt like I couldn't breathe. So I was like, oh, well, I'm never fucking touching that again.
how much did you
Um,
do?
I don't think it was. I actually don't even know. My mates go again. Like I just used to go out, and my mates would give
Was
me
it
stuff, and I'd go, "Yeah, go on then."
was it like a line, or was it like someone dipped a
Yeah,
knife in a
yeah.
bump?
No, 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 no. It was just like it was just my mate got his car keys, put a little bit in, and then just sniffed it.
Little bump. Yeah.
Yeah,
Holy
a little bump.
shit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
uh,
and that's the weird thing, in my opinion, is how, like, for me, I can get a full blown, like, I don't want to say I was addicted to Coke, but there was a
mm,
moment where I questioned myself. You know, when you
oh yeah.
when you're
I got so
spending
many
like
mates who are fucking
24
addicted to it.
hours doing blow and
Yeah,
watching YouTube shorts, like it gets
that.
a little, you know,
Yeah,
you're
that's
jerking
the one thing
off,
I'm.
but you're not coming, you're watching
Yeah.
YouTube videos and
Oh
jerking
fucking
off,
hell! I've had that.
but you're not coming, dude. And like you're not even
Yeah,
horny or anything. It's the
yeah.
craziest phenomenon. And then for other people, it's like one time, go fuck your mother, I'm out. You know?
Mm,
Yeah, that's the craziest thing. It's like when someone smokes a
yeah,
cigarette and gets fucking cancer, but then Becky, who sounds like a fucking transformer, has been smoking
yeah.
for 50 fucking years
Yes.
and is gonna live till she's like 130. Still smoking at
Yeah,
130. You
that's what I'm
know?
saying. Yeah, yeah, it is crazy. Yeah, from the start, obviously, yeah, smoked. I don't know. I've never really looked at weed as a drug though, because I just feel like it's so common and everyone
It's
does it that it
medicine.
doesn't. It just doesn't. It doesn't. Yeah, doesn't feel like a drug anymore. But yeah, I've done that a lot. I mean, it's still illegal over here.
Yeah.
Um, it's just yeah, it's very common. Yeah, that's it really. I mean, for me, it's just mainly about I just enjoy going out, getting on the piss, and just
Yeah. That's
you know,
fine.
like I used to smoke, but then I remember one time I was on a night out. I mean, this was years ago. I was on a night out in Liverpool, and there was this girl, and she was smoking, and I don't know. I started speaking to her, and I kissed her, and
As you
then I
do.
got yeah, as you do, and I was getting a cab home, and all I could taste was like the cigarette from her mouth. And I
Bro.
literally got back to the room, and I was just, I was just, like, because we booked it, like, I booked a hotel, and I was just throwing up everywhere. It was awful. So I couldn't smoke darts after that.
Oh my fucking god.
Um, so after that, yes. Then when vapes started becoming a thing, straight on that.
Yeah,
Um,
vapes are awesome.
yeah,
Vapes
vapes are incredible. So yeah, yeah. So now I just love going out, getting on the piss, just having a good time, fucking
Have
going
you
out, and just yeah.
have you ever looked into any other psychedelics or just no interest there?
Uh, Not anymore, really. No, I don't know. Like, it's just for me now. I don't know. I just feel like my testing phase or trying things phase is sort of done. Like, if say for instance, like, because a few of my mates have gone camping and stuff. I think it was during lockdown. I couldn't for whatever reason, but
Yeah.
like, we go to like a camping thing, or there's like a group of friends there, and they've got like gummies and stuff. Again, it's just fucking weird, isn't it? But
Awesome.
I do stuff like that or whatever. But yeah, I just think
It's all
my
you need.
brain's too fragile, and psychedelics would just completely destroy anything that I have.
And I would love to disagree, but the reality
Uh,
of the situation is I've never had you under an MRI.
yeah,
And a lot of people they have shame whenever they have like a realization that they were wrong, you know,
Yeah.
and I'll fully admit that is one aspect where I will admit I was wrong, you know, and
Yeah.
I'm 22. I'm going to make a lot more wrong statements on this podcast,
Yeah.
folks. Please don't hold me accountable in like 20 years, please.
Yeah.
But my wrong statement
Part of
was
the
like,
journey,
I
man.
think everyone should be doing this, you know, and I think that
Mm.
everyone should take it. And I flip flop on it often. And in fact, I have a podcast hopefully coming up. I don't know exactly, you know, it's hard to plan with other people from other time zones. It's really rough.
Mm.
You know, with you, you know, your schedule was open at the perfect time. You know, like
Yeah.
Tuesday at noon, this is the perfect time.
Mm. Nice.
But you know, and so on that podcast, I will admit, like, I plan on making the hypothetical statement, like, if hypothetically everyone in the world took pure MDMA, like actual, you know, no fake shit, actual MDMA,
Mm.
and not a full hundred, you know, not like a 300 milligram. We're talking maybe like 100 milligram, 75 milligrams of MDMA, you know, and
Mm.
everyone takes at the same time and just feel you've done it, you know, and just feel
Mm.
that love, those waves
I know.
just
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
whoosh, whoosh,
Mhm.
whoosh. It
See,
goes over you,
see,
those waves of love, and you just want to hug
see.
the nearest person. That's why when you said you're doing it at parties,
Mm.
it's like, I don't know if I could do that at a party, dude. That's nuts.
Mm. Yeah, it was fucking mad. Maybe that could have been the reason. It was just so overwhelming and stuff. See, this is the thing. So I agree with you on the sense of the fact of taking it, but the issue is the come down and the stuff that happens after. Because I've one thing that I've noticed, I've got tons of mates who bang on the gear and stuff like that, and I've noticed like all of them like really badly suffer with mental health, and like people who have taken these drugs, and you know they're all great and it's all good when you know things are going well and it's all good, but once you start seeing dependencies um, and like you know people suffering and like you know people thinking that they want to you know unalive themselves and stuff like that because of the side effects of drugs, then I mean, don't get me wrong, there are absolutely people who can. I know people as well who can handle it, and I think that they, you know, if you can, fuck it. You know, it goes back to what we said earlier. Look, as long as you're not hurting anyone else, you know what I mean. Do whatever the fuck you want. But
Yes.
I think the issue is when you see these things happen to people and stuff like that, you
Of course.
realise that not everything is for everyone,
Yep.
and I think that you know I've seen it ruin like drugs ruin people's lives and stuff like that,
Same.
which is mental, really, because you know being a rock. I mean, I've seen alcohol ruin people's lives as well, but I love going out. I love getting a drink. Like this weekend, me and the boys are going to the darts as well. Absolutely love it. So we'll go out. We'll go watch the darts. We'll get on the piss. You know, we'll fucking down like I don't know 7 or 8 pints, and we'll go straight out after, and we just have it. Like that's it's just like proper. Like that's for me. That's what it's all about. Like you know, if some people like I said, like a lot of my mates run it and that, and they want to add that in there, yeah, fucking go for it. Let's have a good time and all stuff like that. But once you know my mates are doing things and you
Yep.
know it gets a bit far now, I think that's when the conversations need to be had because
A little
you
dark.
know I love all my boys and I want all my boys to succeed. So
Of course, man. That's
it's just making sure that you
sorry.
get the balance.
Yeah,
No,
no,
that's all good.
good balance, you know, handling things, you know, in moderation. And I think
Yeah, yeah,
I could have elaborated a little bit better on that statement.
yeah.
I
No, that's all
think
good.
that everyone in the world who is capable, like if you go through
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
psychiatric evaluation, you know, with
Yeah,
actual good, you know, it's no buying people off bullshit, non-corrupt. This is a hypothetical world. This could
yeah. Of
never
course, of course.
actually happen in the real world. But in my imaginary world, you know, everyone is psychiatrically evaluated and we figure out who can and who can't. And, you know, I think if all those people who can took it at the same time, and we're talking world leaders, we're talking presidents, everyone, all those ISIS people, you know, ISIS, fucking Hamas, all the people in corrupt governments, you know, you have all those guys take fucking MDMA Listen, I'm sure a few of them would be like, "Oh yeah, this cause is more righteous." But I think the majority of people who experience that will feel overwhelming love. I
Mm,
actually believe that, man. I really do. And I think that the people who say no, it can't, are often, and obviously there's people who believe that it should be strictly in like hospitals and in therapeutic, which I disagree with.
mm,
But I think that people should be really allowed to do whatever they want. And as
mm,
long as you, like I said, are not hurting people or taking their rights away,
yeah.
I think it's only a life enhancer. If I decide I want to do something, but I also see your perspective where you don't want to fuck
Mm,
up what you got. And I understand that 100%.
yeah.
And I hear that oftentimes from comedians as well, where they say, I don't want to do shrooms because what if I do get enlightened and then I lose the funny? I've actually heard that. I believe it was
Yeah.
Roseanne Barr who said that actually. And she's like,
Mm,
and I believe, I could be wrong, very wrong, but I believe it was her when she said, what if I lose that gift that I got? And so, like
mm,
you said, but I think you should have the choice. You should have that
yeah.
choice, but to tell other people what they can and can't do, that's retarded as shit.
Yeah, yeah. No one should be able to tell people what they can and can't do. I don't think that's. I mean, obviously within reason, because we need
Yeah,
laws and we need to protect people.
of course.
But yeah, I don't know. For me, like running the world and everyone on MDMA, just I don't know. It's just a crazy thought. Like knowing some of the shit that me and my friends did and what
Yes.
we'd do on that. So I just can't imagine a country running well on it.
But
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
yeah,
So essentially, what you mean is, if you could harness that feeling of love, peace, unity, and
yeah,
you know
man.
that feeling that it brings on, and that could be pushed out to people, the world would be a better place.
Or
I mean,
just
yeah,
have,
I think 99% of people would agree with you,
yeah.
but I think the issue with using the MDMA as the catalyst to that is it would cause a direct massive downfall in society.
I mean, yeah, man, if everyone realizes love is the greatest currency, what happens to
Mm,
the United States dollar? What happens to what kind of currency do you guys use over in the UK?
the pound.
What happens to the fucking pound if bro is like,
Mm,
"Yeah, man, I'll just trade you. Oh, you need bread? How about I give you some clothes? You want some clothes? I'll give you clothes."
mm,
And so I get what you're saying. I'm just talking about the mentality of shit, and all these
yeah,
fucking
that's what I thought you
stupid
meant.
ass wars, all these people who, and I don't want to speak for you, but assuming you're a
Mm,
in the center and you don't say
yeah.
you're on the right or on the left, I can assume
Mm,
that politics are important, you know? And
yes and
yes,
no.
and they're one of the most important things
Yeah.
in your life. And
Mm,
oftentimes I'll hear people say like, "No, I just wanna focus on my life, and I just wanna stay centered," and that's a fair take because it's like people got so much
mm,
shit going on that how can you expect everyone to know everything that you know? But I want
mm.
to, I really wanna bring it back to music, just
Yeah,
if not just for one question.
yeah, of course.
Um
Yeah, go for it. Hit with
What would you
it.
say would be the biggest differences between like the UK and US audiences?
Audiences.
Yeah. Do you
I don't know. I don't know.
predominantly get views from the UK or do you get any
Um,
views
we
from
get
the United States?
we
I can
get
imagine.
we get a good mix. To be fair, we get a
Yeah.
really good mix. I wouldn't say there's actually that much of a like fan base wise and like people and like their dedication. I wouldn't say there's that much different. I think culturally there's a massive difference,
Yeah.
but the way that we consume and love and interpret and support our artists, I think is very similar.
Yeah, I got you.
You get your hardcore. We've got people who wholeheartedly support us, and we tell them whenever we can how much we love and appreciate their support,
Yeah,
and they're always sharing our stuff and stuff like that, and yeah, we love it. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's a I wouldn't say there's a there's more of a difference culturally in the people. I would say there's more of a difference between. I thought you was going to ask me the difference between US and UK music rather than the actual fans.
No, I mean that could be the next question. You could answer
Mm,
that as well, because I thought that would be a good question, but then I said it out loud and I was like, what are the chances that, I mean, have you guys been over to the US to do any shows?
no, we've
Yeah.
never. That's the thing. So we've
Yeah.
never interacted with a physical fan base from the US. So yeah, that's why it's really that's the main reason it's hard for us to speculate.
Yeah.
But
My
yeah, online people are people. So we don't. Yeah, there's
No,
not
you're all
really a
good. You're
difference
all
in this
good. That was
someone could
that was
say.
a purely goofy question. I
Yeah, no,
honestly,
that's all good.
when I thought
There's no
about it,
stupid questions.
I
Mm.
thought it'd be pretty cool. But I like your question better, actually. What would you say the biggest differences between United States music and UK music would be when it comes to your genre in particular? We don't have to talk about all music because that would be a really long conversation.
Mm. I feel like it's a weird mix because I do feel like American and um, British rock are very influenced by each other.
Yep.
Um, but I'd say that I guess music wise, I don't know. I guess you guys are more because so for instance, I went and saw the Killers and I saw Liam Gallagher, and I feel like I mean, is better than the other and neither is worse, but I feel like Americans put on a show or a concert,
Hmm.
whereas we put on a gig. So when we go out and play, it'll be about the music and like we'll play the music and I guess sometimes we put on a show and and there'll be extra bits or whatever, but mainly it's about like people are here to listen to the songs and play the songs and that's what we do. Whereas like I feel Americans are more like, right, how can we make this a spectacle? How can we make this a show? Like, yeah, we've got the tracks, but can we get like some big drapes or can we get the lighting to do this? And
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not completely against any of that, like, because I've seen some shows that have been amazing. Um, but yeah, I guess it's just a typical British thing, isn't it? Just straight to the point, get on with it, and let's get this done.
And I guess that's the one sad part about me listening to predominantly rap music for my childhood is
Mm,
that, I think about all the people who listened to the Beatles when they were in middle school, and now they have these music tastes that are like, these awesome bands like Fallen in
mm,
Reverse and Black Veil Brides, like my lovely girlfriend that I have.
mm,
She listened to like Five Finger Death Punch when she was a kid, and she listened
yeah,
to the Beatles, and she listened to Van Halen and
yeah,
Led Zeppelin and Red Hot Chili
no,
Peppers, and it's like, and I look
mm,
at her playlist, and it's like there's 2,000 songs in her playlist, but me, I
yeah,
have like 50. And so that's
yeah,
that's the really unfortunate part is I haven't really been exposed to a lot of UK music, but off the
mm,
top of my head, I've seen live audiences by the Beatles, given that was like how many years, decades ago. I'm sure it's
yeah.
changed. However, just now, what just popped in my head is you guys have like fucking a huge punk scene over there, don't you? There's a huge punk scene in the UK, if I'm not mistaken, right? Or am I mistaken?
Um, I mean, we definitely used to. We used to have a massive thing. I feel like we're portrayed like that by Americans and other countries sometimes. Um,
Betrayed?
I don't think we do as much anymore.
Yeah.
I think when were the Sex Pistols about? 80s, 70s, 80s.
Wait, say that one more time.
Because there's like the Sex Pistols. So yeah, the 70s. So during the 70s, there was like a massive movement, and
Well, I
I
mean,
think
I've
that's
seen
what
YouTube
started.
videos and shit.
Yeah. So in the 70s there was. I mean, you do get like around Camden and stuff. I guess you do get like the odd
Yeah. There's like
like
a huge fucking
punk
rave
rockers,
scene
and
and
there's
shit.
like yeah, there is you do get some gigs and stuff, but to say I wouldn't say it's massive.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
think
That's fair.
I would probably say that. Oh well, I guess you do get like I would say like heavy metal in the UK is bigger than punk, but then I guess
Really?
punk sort of gets thrown in with that sometimes. Yeah, And then you go to, or maybe I'm just not experiencing the right places. But the thing is, I mean, I just go to the gigs that I go to. So like, I see the indie scene, and I've seen like the crowds and stuff like that, and there is definitely a crowd there, which is crazy to think because when you first start out and you're trying to find them, it feels almost impossible. But yeah, these fans are out there. These people love this music.
Yeah, man.
And
100%.
but yeah, I wouldn't say, maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe you know more than me, but
No.
from what I've seen and when I've been out and experienced stuff, I don't think punk is massive. Like,
Yeah.
I guess music wise, is that referring to? I'm assuming you're probably referring to either the Sex Pistols making their comeback tour, and then you've also got what's his name, Youngblood,
Yes, Youngblood.
which
Yeah,
is sort of the thing.
he was just at a concert. We just saw him live. I think it
Mm,
was just last year. That
mm,
dude, I still have videos of his fucking performance at Sonic Temple. That dude was fucking
yeah.
awesome, man. That was one hell of a show.
Mm,
Now, I really wanted that's let me tell you something cringe that I'm gonna admit to you and the
cool.
podcast. I didn't know if Youngblood was British. I swore to God he was,
Yeah, he is.
but I wasn't gonna say anything because I had no idea truly off the top of my head. But I was gonna say
Yeah.
that dude had one hell of a fucking performance when he came out of the fucking
Mm,
coffin and started going crazy and shit. That was fucking awesome. You know? But referring to your band in particular,
mm,
you guys just dropped that latest release. You're okay, right? Is that the
mm.
name? Or you're fine? I forget exactly
You're
what
all
it's
right.
called. You're all right. I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah.
I could have
That's all
clicked
right.
on
That's
it.
all
I
right. No
didn't want to
worries.
press on the Spotify, but I just did. You just
No, that's
dropped You're
okay.
all right. 2-year hiatus. Is there any
Hmm.
plans for an album? Is it in the works? What should the fans be
Uh,
expecting here?
so yeah, no album in the works. We're currently working on our next single called Axiom that we're hoping should be out in April. But
Gotcha.
we'll keep people posted on that. And yeah, we've got some massive gigs coming up. It's just unfortunate that I'm not allowed to, because I think things have been confirmed and like we've got emails saying that yeah, it's going ahead. But until things have been posted and things have been said, we can't say
Yep.
anything. But yeah,
Promotion
we've
and
got
all that.
some. Yeah, exactly. So we got some massive gigs coming up. But anyone who wants to check us out, it's all on our events page on Spotify. So if you, I'm assuming you're going to put a link in the podcast. So
Yep.
yeah, if you click the link, go onto our Spotify, you can listen to our music, and there's an events page. So once it's all out and promoted, you can see any gigs that we've got. Unfortunately, they are going to only be in the UK, and at the moment, we've only got stuff planned for London, but first gig back, so first 2 gigs back are going to be absolutely fucking
Dude,
incredible.
if you guys ever come over here, I better be the first motherfucker you tell. I swear to
We,
God, I better
you
be the
might, you
first.
might, you might be the second.
Please, bro. No, that other person,
You,
I don't know who they are, but listen, I got your back 100%, dude. Listen, man. But so, going back
thank
on
you.
that, you're dropping
Hmm.
singles. You said you're working on
Yeah,
another single.
yeah.
Do you guys have any aspirations towards? I'm not trying to push the narrative.
No, it's
And
all good.
I'm just wondering, like, are these singles eventually going to end up in an album, or are they going to stay singles?
Uh, it could be a possibility. Yeah, we could group them all into an album and stuff. But
That'd be
I
awesome.
think for now, we're just going to release singles. Just keep going because I just think even if we're just releasing singles,
Yeah.
they don't necessarily need an album because they're all going to be there on Spotify for people to listen to, and whether they're grouped or not, does it matter? I don't know. I just feel like we're just going to keep getting musical content out to people, keep playing gigs, keep promoting, and yeah, just keep going until we're the biggest band in the UK.
Yeah, man. I mean,
Second biggest band in the UK. Second biggest band. Oasis, for me, will always be number one. So second biggest band in the UK.
oh, dude, that's adorable, man. And I said that almost exact same thing. It's good to
Mm,
have goals. It's great. A lot of
mm,
people will say that, like, oh, you're being, you're shooting too big, you're aiming too high, but it's like, okay, but isn't it good to have goals eventually?
Oh,
So if I'm
100%. Yeah.
aiming for this crazy thing, like, this is what I've been saying. I think it's ridiculous if
Mm.
I even want to say top 10 podcasts, but if we could get top 20, that would be pretty dope. That would be pretty awesome. Top 20. Yeah,
No, aim
you know,
higher. I'll
and
take
so,
the for me, like that's like the overarching goal. But
yeah,
I always have like smaller goals that I'm always aiming for, and I'm always
of
trying to
course.
reach with like things. So
There's a
yeah,
tier list, though.
I'd say yeah, always set small and achievable goals because
Of
then
course.
yeah, when the gratification comes. But yeah, the overarching goal is second best band in the UK.
Oh yeah, man, and I think that's awesome that you have a totem pole. A lot of people don't have that,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this is gonna sound super cliche, but a lot of people will just say, "Yeah," and they'll start like adding up the money. They'll start saying, "Oh, if I do this and do that, this is how much I'll have at the end of the month, and at the end of the year, this is how much I'll have. This is how much growth." But it's like,
Mm,
and this kind of leads into another question for a while and for years, no one's, I mean, some people still kind of talk about it now, but a few years ago, it was huge. It's called The Secret. And
oh
have you
yeah,
ever,
yeah, yeah. I've heard
yeah,
about it.
that's,
Yeah.
it's risky, dude, because it's like you're telling a partial truth when you talk about it because
Mm,
on one hand, yes, you do have to believe in yourself and like you said earlier, you have to have that ego to where you can
mm,
think that you can be the best. 'Cause if you
100%.
don't have that ego, and so I think a lot of people are missing that. I think a lot of people they
Yeah.
shoot too high and then they stumble where they could have had that inspiration. Like just like
Mm,
you said, we're gonna go do shows, we're gonna drop these singles, and maybe one day it'll end up in the album. But guess what? I don't give a fuck. And whatever happens,
yeah.
happens.
Yeah. We're just enjoying the ride.
Yeah, man. And at the end of the day, dude, that's all you can do, because
Mm.
if you're doing what you love truly, if you're truly grinding, you're riding it out, you're hanging out with your friends. Recently I've been playing I don't know if you've played it. It's called Fallout New Vegas.
Oh yeah, I played it before. Yeah, Fallout New Vegas. Yeah.
And like I was telling you when we were texting earlier, I love to do the
Mm.
side quests in games
Yeah.
before I do
Same.
the main quest. And so I was doing a side quest, and one of the NPCs said something, and this was weeks ago when I heard this, and it stuck with me. If you feel as if you're wasting time, but you're
Mm.
having a good time, then you're not wasting your time. You
Yeah,
cannot
hundred
be
percent.
wasting your time if you're having a good time. And so the simple fact of the matter is, man, if you're vibing, you're out there with your homies and doing what you love and pushing this creative. How old did you say you were one more time, buddy?
I'm 31.
31, man. Yeah, dude.
Mm.
Listen, man, you got plenty of time for growth. And I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you again, man, for being on the show. Thank
Yeah.
you
No.
for
No.
doing,
Thank you so much for having me.
dude, absolutely no problem, man. I know you gotta go. I know you gotta do another
Yeah.
podcast,
Yeah. Sorry.
but I just want to say, you know, this is from me and all your future fans, dude. Do not give up
Mm.
and please stay persistent, bro. I appreciate you
Yeah.
so
No, we
much.
will do. Thank you so much. Yeah. Same to you. I think we're both in the same boat here. We're both promoting and doing something that we love, and we're trying to reach a bigger and wider audience so that we can make this everything that we do. So yeah, same to you, bro. I hope the journey goes well, and yeah, keep at it. And yeah, I've really enjoyed this.